So uh, we can call this. We could probably start a YouTube series called "Deep in the Peeps" for Python people in that, and I call them peeps just because it sounds better. But maybe they're called PEPs, Python enhancement proposals. In that, I'm sure there's an official pronunciation, and I'm probably not doing it correctly. As a JS person, that's okay. Uh, I can roll differently than others. So the problem I had last year, and you just run out of time on some stuff, so you just got to put it away, and maybe next time live to fight another day. It's an issue that I wouldn't have a problem with in a Java, C Sharp. Typically, any compiled language lets me do this. And what am I trying to do? I'm trying to refer to an object as I'm creating it, right? And so Python's like, I have no idea what point 2D is because I'm right in the middle of making point 2D. I'm not out of here yet. I mean, point 2D would be complete by about line 40. And it says, but you're already referring to this thing that does not exist yet, or I can't tell it exists, right? And so even PyLance is lighting up. That thing's not defined in that. And if I were to run it, I'll just run it one more time. I ran it previously. I will get an error, right? Well, it ran fast in that. Maybe I'll do CLS, prove. Didn't feel like it actually ran. Happened too quickly there. So even Python is complaining. It's like, okay, no, name error, point 2D, it's not defined. I looked around, I didn't find it. And that's basically, it says this line 30, so we can actually go to line 30, and it's this line, right? Exactly where PyLance says that's going to be a problem. And PyLance was right. Python had a problem with that. But the issue is, conceptually, I'm right in the middle of defining point 2D. I'm not done yet, and yet here I am trying to refer to it. Okay, and so other people had this problem as well. And so, because I think you come from another language where it's possible out of the box, and it's not working. So you're like, what's going on? So we can go look at this Stack Overflow site. You'll be here a lot trying to figure out stuff. Now it says it's 5 years ago, but notice that the answer that everyone liked didn't come in until about 2019, which would have been last year. In that, I find that funny. But they're doing the same thing. They've got a class called position, and then right away they're trying to do something with that class, right? Natural coding pattern if you're coming, like I said, from Java or C Sharp or some other compiled language in that. But there are answers, and so there is this. You can do this import, right, which is out of PEP 563, and then there's another one out of 464, which would have been an older one. Now, if there's a performance difference in here, there might be, and so one technique might be better than the other. But if you read through a little bit of this, they're mentioning versions. Hey, if you're 3.7 or higher, there's this one here. If it's Python 3.10, which hasn't dropped yet, then I think this becomes a default, so we won't have to do this anymore. So we can go get from Python right now 3.9, not a problem. We're running 3.83, and ArcPro is probably on 3.6. So then it becomes, well, what version am I running? Because I might have to do something different in that. And so always be aware of the Python version that you're running, because what you're trying to do may not be possible. But we can do this import, and that will magically make it work. And then I'll show you another technique that also works based on this 484 Python enhancement proposal on forward referencing. So you could look at it one way, you're deferring it, or you're going to do a forward reference. Like in the future, this thing will exist, so don't worry about it right now in that. And so one thing is to do this import is kind of ugly, right? But hey, if it works, I'm fine with it. So you're sort of importing a method called future, which will look things up in the future or defer to the future, annotations and that. And so apparently that will be the default in 3.10, but we're not there yet in that. Like I said, we're on what? Here I'm on 3.85 in that. And all of a sudden it all goes away. Now it went away in PyLance. Did it go away in Python land? Because it still might be an issue, right? So just because I made PyLance happy doesn't mean I made the interpreter happy. And no, it worked. Fantastic. What we like kind of stuff. So I'll show you another technique that comes out of the 484 one, out of this Python enhancement proposal here. So this one probably came after because people didn't want to go in and put all of these kind of notations in, but it's a real quick fix. Say you're like, that import looks horrible. I can't have that in my code. And that is one is that you can use what they call a string literal, and you can go read the peeps on this and that. And so you just do it like this, And what it means is that at runtime, we'll figure this out and we'll be okay. And the thing is, well, will it make PyLance happy? Sure seems to be making PyLance happy right now. All my errors are gone, even in main. So even if I'm in main and I said, well, how does this toDistance run? It says, no, you send me a point 2D and it's happy. However, have I really fixed it, right? Just because I made PyLance happy, did I make the interpreter happy in that? And if it ran without a problem too. And so then I think it cleans up the code with and making our objects more self-contained. In that I already have this point 2D object, and I want to test, what is its distance to another point 2D object, and that way I can just throw both the points in, and then figure that out. They're storing the data exactly I want, and I can do all this stuff like, well, is this point near another point? And instead of sending in the x and y, I can send in the whole point. Because what if it was a 3D point? What if it was a 3D point with measures? And then instead of having to bring all those values in individually, I can just bundle them up the way I want to, the way I designed it in my mind, and then pass the data in like that. Because maybe it's a bigger structure and I have, several different things I'm passing in. And I don't have to break it apart and send the pieces in one by one in that. So that cleans up the code. That was just to show you a little demo of a way to get around an issue we had, I think, last year in the lab. And so I might go back and, not so stealth edit the manual lab so that this technique is actually possible. But that's all for now. I hope you're enjoying the course so far. Take care.